Yes, my guys. Good, good. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Clive, aka C to the PT, and we've got a few special guests here with us. Starting from our left, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves.
Well, my name is Jesse. My full name is Philip Just Familowani. Insta PJ P Just Femi O. That's it.
But people know what you do. What do you do?
So obviously just on keeping my thing low, but I do calisthenics. Been doing calisthenics for a while, since 2022, January 2022. So yeah, and mind muscle connections and yeah.
Steady, man.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm Daniel. Daniel Iron _ on Instagram. I'm a calisthenics athlete, former amateur boxer, and I help people get into the best shape of their life, help people look sexy, feel good. Yeah, that's me.
But yeah, man. Yeah, Mike Muscle. You can follow me, Mike Muscle 6, on Instagram, and yeah, that's it.
Steady, man. Steady.
Mike
So,
Muscle.
yeah,
man.
serious.
Yeah, man.
So the one common thing we all have amongst us is we're all absolute units.
Yeah,
Gym heads,
pretty
yeah.
much.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's good to say.
What can you say, like, what has gym and just fitness as a whole, what do you think that does to you guys, or especially us as men? How much of a significance do you think it really and truly has on our lives? You know?
I think as a man, you have no choice but to be strong, innit? One way or another, like there's some kind of strength that you need to draw from yourself, and you need to prove yourself more time. Like the other party has it easy, but you get me. It's a bit different for them. But for men, I've just seen that there's more time that you need to prove yourself a lot. Like
Definitely.
It's a form of meditation, isn't it?
Facts.
Yeah.
Literally.
you know what I mean?
I say literally, the one time when you do gym, meditation in a sense, what is meditation? Meditation is just being present with yourself and being present with your thoughts. Every time you recruit your body to push a lift, that's literally what you're doing. Every time you're being present with your body as you tame it and you push that weight essentially.
Right.
So I think it's no coincidence that we all find ourselves in the same mind space as we're all crazy gym heads and that's mad as well.
That's mad, yeah.
It's so ironic. It's so ironic.
Yeah.
I think of it this way as well. Like back in the day, like probably a long time ago, like we would have been the kind of people that would have, we would have to be soldiers or warriors or something like that.
Definitely.
I feel like it's in our blood. Like it's just how we operate.
That warrior mentality, innit?
Do you get me?
It was survival, man.
Survival.
Back then it was survival, man.
Or the hunters, or the gatherers, or the protectors, or something.
Facts.
And let me just say, the fact that everyone in here is on the hybrid thing as well, I love bodybuilding,
Yeah, man.
but the fact that I feel like everyone here feels like they just needed to do just that little bit more, it
It's
shows.
that extra push, man.
Exactly.
Do you get me?
Exactly.
Trying to be one of the elites.
Elites,
For real.
man.
Get me?
You look different. When you train that way, you look different.
Exactly.
That's the thing, man.
Exactly.
Straight up, bro.
100%.
So it's interesting because it's like we're talking about the high end of it, feeling like striving for that heroism basically. It's fair to say that we all essentially felt lack prior to this, right? So my thing is, and like, on an individual scale as well as on the collective scale as men, where do you think we lack the most? What's the biggest drive behind us striving for the highest highs essentially, if you know what I mean? Like, what do you think it is within yourselves or just as a collective, even as men?
I think it's a respect thing.
Yeah.
Subconsciously, we demand respect in a way from even if it's just a little bit. We demand that, because I don't know, it's what makes us who we are, innit?
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure. For sure. I think in other cultures, especially like Africa, well, everywhere basically outside the West, we have rites of passage, certain things you go through to go from boyhood to manhood, regardless of what age that is. And in the West, we don't really have that. So it becomes, at least definitely I think of it sometimes, at what point are you officially a man? Because it's not necessarily just about the age, because you can be 18, have the driving license and everything, but if your mum says you're not going out past 10 p.m, you're not going out past 10 p.m, it's like, at what point can you say that, I'm a man, I can do this on my own, do that on my own? So I feel like other things as well as the gym just being one of those things is that way of creating that respect, like you said, I
think it's when life beats you down, and you get to that lowest point, It's either you stay there or you climb back up slowly and slowly. I feel like that's character building, man.
Definitely, yeah. Gym's definitely character development. Huge part of character development. I think, in general, just you feel 10 times more confident walking into a room when you know you've got an absolute shield of armor underneath those clothes. Fair to say, honestly.
For real.
I hear it.
Oh, God.
I hear it.
Exactly.
But man, for me, it's ego though. Because more time, like, because I'm a bit older, I'm like 25. I see the other youngers, they're getting into the gym thing, and I can't even call them youngers no more. But I can't allow them to be the ones that are wedged. Do you get me? I gotta be wedged as well. Do you get me? For me, I can't be left behind. Do you get me?
So do you think ego's like very vital for men? Then you think?
Yeah, so like we all have egos. There's something that makes us proud, innit? And there's something that'll make us feel a type of way as well. Something. So for me, yeah, it's definitely just because I'm a kind of guy that I see you, we bleed the same blood. Get me? So if you can do it, I can do it. And I just got to make it look better. If you make it look better, then you get me? That's the way I see it.
Where's the threshold where that becomes toxic? Do you know what I mean? How does that look? Or how is that?
Gotta have a bit of toxicity.
Yeah,
you gotta have
it's easy.
That makes it spicy, it's like flavour.
Yeah, I hear that.
It's like
The general toxic masculinity title right now is people don't know what that means anyway. But I'd say where it draws a line is, I guess, when you stop, and this is not to be selfish, but it's when the self becomes like the last thing that you're thinking of. When you're thinking about other people, looking at other people and disregarding who you are, because of course we're all different people. Everyone's gonna have their own differences. So not everyone can do the same things, because not everyone's willing to take the same risks, for example. So when you start looking at what other people have and feel bad about yourself, not knowing their circumstances, what they had to go through, maybe they're willing to do certain things that you're not willing to do. And I'm not talking about like outworking you. I'm saying maybe this guy at his low point, he was willing to bust a couple shots, and you don't want to do that. You know, that's like, there's other hidden factors that you don't see that you should always bear in mind that, look, I'm always going to do the best I can do. See other people as competition to push you, but don't ever let other people, like letting people get to you, like affect you emotionally to the point where it kind of changes your character. I think that's where it gets toxic. You're allowing emotions to get in there.
So being stern enough to not allow any external factors to alter your state of being, basically.
Exactly, that's it,
We battle with that every day, man.
Yeah, man. And that's what I was going to get at next. We do battle it every day. So it's fair to say we're on our own line of trajectory, right? If you can go in as introspective as possible and as, you know, as real as possible, the past, you know, let's not even say a few months, even past few weeks, what obstacles have you lot found yourself facing amongst your trajectory to just becoming the best version of yourself, or just becoming wherever we're aiming for, you know what I mean? What do you think are the greatest things you've found yourself facing that most men can actually relate to?
That's a good question.
You know what I mean?
That's a good one, man.
For me personally, you could probably see, I don't know if the camera's gonna see it. I've turned into a Hoover recently. Honestly. And I'm a calisthenics person. You're supposed to stay light. Naturally I'm like 85, 80. I'm trying to drop down to 75.
Okay.
I'm like 90, so
90. But the fact, this guy doesn't. I don't get how you can stand in the way you are. 90. It don't make sense, bro.
But that's the thing. Like, just because I'm putting on weight and I've got a problem with my eating, doesn't mean I'm not gonna step foot in the gym. Do you get me? I'm still gonna go to the gym. I'm still gonna try doing what I have to do in it. But it's just certain hurdles that you have to face, innit?
Definitely.
Yeah, man. It either makes you or breaks you, like we were saying earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, I just know that that's one thing I will always take to pride. I can't be broken, fam. Get me? I won't be broken.
Interesting.
Get me? But it's diet, fam. It's breaking.
I hear that. I get that. Any other obstacles you might think you might find yourself facing? You know?
I mean, you just go through it, innit?
Yeah.
You don't really remember it.
Because you don't really hold on to it.
So in the process, it's just strengthening your armor.
Most definitely.
That's how I see it, man.
Yeah, every day feels like a battle for sure. And I think to be honest, my main obstacle is nothing external. It's usually myself
Yeah.
battling with your thoughts. You know, for me, a lot of the time it's I feel like a lot of people be able to relate. Like I'm my biggest critic. You know, I'm always gonna come down hard on myself, and I guess the fine line is, you know, critiquing yourself to then come up, or critiquing yourself to the point where, you know, you feel dejected. I always try to think that, okay, the way I speak about myself, right? If someone else said that to me, is it gonna be a violation?
Yeah.
If I feel that way, then I shouldn't be speaking that way. I'm gonna try to change the way I speak to myself.
In a book I read, The Way of the Superior Man, it hinted at the same thing. A man's relationship they have with their self is what basically defines their self-worth, essentially. So, and it's interesting because I think even me, like, a lot of my self-esteem drives from the relationship I have with myself. Like you said, them battles you have with yourself and whatnot. That all centers around this sense of individualism, which I think is an obstacle. It's an ongoing obstacle. It's an ongoing battle, because as an individual you're going through your own growth, but it does somewhat affect those that external to you that also have a relationship with you, arguably as well. So I think it's navigating that, especially as, you know, young men developing themselves. That is something that's an ongoing battle. I find that
most definitely.
Yeah, I do find that quite interesting.
You are your biggest critique, you know. I like that one.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. So, next thing now, I was also thinking about is like, so, what is you lot's view on just spirituality as a whole now, going into it for real now? Because, I mean, just to start off, I think like, you know, it's fair to say that everything we are currently experiencing in life, on this planet, or in this universe, it's all God, right? We are currently, you know, we're all God's pawns as we're experiencing life. And I was just thinking as well, like, that being the case, if everything we are experiencing is God, is there an argument to say that, you know, maths and science essentially is God's language? Because I was thinking, like, you know, maths and science essentially is the closest thing to conceptualizing what can't be conceptualized. You know, it's unfathomable, right? And it's like, even then, I've been looking into a few things, like, so, you know, science as a whole, there was a study around Albert Einstein's time and age. They were very much centered around, you know, the study of time and space. You know, that was what they unleashed. But over time now, and you lot probably know, it's kind of stemmed into, it's branched into this study of consciousness now. And we know consciousness it centers around, well, what some would say is a higher essence, right? And to me, that's like pretty much match made God, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, how like, what are your perspectives on that, essentially? Just spirituality as a whole, really, in this day and age as well, like, it's wild.
With what you said about maths and science, it's crazy because I'd say a book I read a while back, The Law of Attraction, right?
Oh, yeah.
You start reading these before you actually understand things like this, right? Let's call them universal laws. Before you know what they are, you think it's this woo-woo thing, right? And then you actually go in and you actually read, you understand, and you learn it. It's not just like woo-woo people that have spoken about it. It's actual learned people, like you said, Albert Einstein. When you start looking into law of attraction, you see names like Nikola Tesla pop up, because
that's my uncle.
That's your guy, I know. Because that when you get into that realm of thought, it's deeper than, you know, oh, I want this to happen, I'm gonna manifest it. You know, I'm gonna manifest this car. It's not. It gets deeper than that. It's about your frequency of vibration and what you bring, what that brings around you, right? Because everything in the universe is vibrating. Everything vibrates, right, at a certain frequency. If nothing was vibrating, then it wouldn't be alive, because that's what everything is, energy. You know, and there's that law: energy cannot be created or destroyed. And boom, when we come to the law of attraction, it's about, you know, an action causes a reaction, So the more I learned about it, the more I was like, this isn't metaphysics, this is science. This is science.
Definitely.
So it completely makes sense. So the more I started actually researching things that were spiritual, the more scientific it actually sounded. The more people with knowledge on these topics started speaking, the more I'm realizing these guys are using science to back up their points. It's crazy. It no longer becomes spiritual. It's now concrete things.
But you know, even the science thing is so deep here. Like the way I see science is like the study of God, obviously, and the way you can see it also is God is inevitable. Like there's no way.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Yeah.
Atheists, I don't know what I'm going to
But one thing I love about that question in the maths and the physics and whatever, and the Nikola Tesla and all these man, bro, that's a state of ponder. Like these man, they spent some time in their brain sitting down, like God, thinking. Do you get me? To be able to come up or to be able to discover these things, innit? And like, bro, it's in that state of ponder. Like, bro, you can realize that, fam, we are some kind of like God blessed us with like something that's so crazy. And I personally think it stems in our words and the way we use to communicate. Do you get me? Because there's no other creation on the planet. Obviously, God said that He gave us dominion over everything. And you can really see how we're on the top of the food chain and how we are kind of like God because we can create and we can do all these things. And we, maths and English, fam, it all stems from the word. Like when we speak out, innit? Our emotions come out from our words. Everything comes out from our words. And what's crazy as well is God used that same word to create everything. And we're made in His image. So it's like, it's inevitable. Everything that's spiritual, everything that's physical.
It's all just under the same umbrella. This is what I was thinking of. It's like if God is all knowing. So that being the case, I think this sense of dualism exists where, you know, I think this element of one, that's what I believe in, oneness. I think oneness is very vital in this in life as a whole to reality. I think that's the foundation of our reality, really and truly. I think I just left my mind actually.
It's a cool point because our reality consists of physicality and spirituality.
Precisely.
Do you get me?
Literally.
They go hand in hand, but they're two separate things.
Yes.
Completely separate.
So then, now we know this, is like anything that causes division, basically, you could argue. I think we're all just one. I think we're all just one organ. We're all God's organ experiencing itself.
Right.
Infinitely, simultaneously, all everything, really and truly. So my biggest thing now is when, because obviously the topic of spirituality tends to be a trending topic in this day and age. I don't know if it's just maybe my timeline or what. But I don't know.
For sure.
But it is.
I think it's a shift, man.
There's a shift taking place, evidently. And once that shift taking place, people that have tapped in, I mean, whether you recognise it or not, we are embodying Christ, essentially, fair to say. So people that recognise that they are, I'm not really messing with the fact that they are now, you know, some will call themselves spiritual teachers now.
Right.
Like, in a sense where it's fair to say that for us to have unlocked the knowledge that we have, it was an individual journey, essentially. You know, we done the questioning, we was curious, we applied it to our lives, and, you know, we found our own template. So for you to now try and teach that same template to another individual goes against the whole point, because it's not oneness anymore. You've now put yourself on the pedestal saying, oh, hey, you want to become enlightened, or here's this 5-day course book that I can give you to reach enlightenment.
Right.
Like there is somewhere to reach in the first place. You know, that's and then that causes division because you create a hierarchy when we're all the same organ initially anyway. So that's my biggest thing now.
You think it's where it comes from, though?
What do you mean?
In terms of like, you know, is it coming from ego? Like how they, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Definitely. I mean, it is egotistical to cling on to this identity. Oh, I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm a guru. And you know, I'm the all-knowing. You guys need me. You need, and it's like, you know what it is? It's like any information that we get given on this physical plane. You know, from the Bible to a book or just anything. It all derives from life. It all will give you some form of enlightenment to life, depending on how you extract it and refine it and you know all that stuff. So again, yeah, it definitely is. But then it's easy to hoard that and say, you know, claim it as if I'm the one that gave you this. I'm the all-knowing one that, you know, you should listen to me, take me in. I'm the one that knows it all.
There is a lot of like ego in that for sure.
There's a spiritual ego. It's a thing.
Oh,
it's a thing.
that's a beautiful. Yeah, that's a good term.
It's a thing.
Yeah,
Actually exists, yeah.
I think personally it's hard to have an ego because I think we can happily say that God exists, but then at the same time, is it easy to say that we know everything? Like, is it easy to say that we know exactly and precisely what's going on? Because go on, bro.
I think that's the word that those three words scare a lot of religious people. Is I don't know, because the truth is we weren't there. We don't know anything. We don't know why we're here. We have a lot of theories, and really and truly, everything we say and everything we know, it's a theory.
It's conceptualized.
And you got to stand on it at the same time.
Yeah, most definitely. But you got to be okay with the fact that you don't know, and a lot of people don't. People that makes people uncomfortable, makes people scared.
Settling into the uncertainty is definitely a vital thing. Definitely.
You can only really experience, and once you experience can be that teacher.
Exactly.
Do you get me? But
I always do say the greatest insights are just plainly in front of you.
Most definitely.
When you're not trying, when you actually step back and surrender to the unfathomable, you know, surrender yourself to the fact that you don't know, and watch, layers will start to peel.
That's where there's peace.
Exactly. And that goes again, like, that reminds me of these laws of vibration. Like, when you're putting out that energy of fighting against something, you're just only going to attract more difficulties. But when you relax, you're going to attract more of what you're actually seeking for in the first place.
You know what's crazy as well? You see what you say about vibration. Like, you know what, our words, the very words that we speak are transmitted through vibration.
Exactly.
But you hearing exactly what you need to hear could come from that vibration and stuff. That's why motivational speeches and all that stuff, like, it resonates with us, you know. It's that right frequency.
It's like a program, innit?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Even listen to something, even music. Music is a way. It literally you can what's the word? You can literally adjust your frequency in a sense by listening to the certain music you take in.
So cool, man.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's actually crazy.
In actually, what it really does feel like, though, it feels like we're in some kind of simulation, but the simulation is like heavily monetized, like not monetized, but like on the CCTV, like constantly. Something is watching us. And it's like, you know, we're navigating through choices we make and all these vibrations, all these feelings, all these things, but truly, do you get me?
And I think it's like, even that is like, because I think it's like, I see us as like synapses. We're all like spirits in a synapse, and we are literally, you know, coordinates have been set and we are just boom. So even from here coming to the room, from you getting out of bed to even little things like you getting out of bed 5 minutes later and on your way to work, you bumped into that person that gave you that opportunity.
I think about that all the time.
Yeah, bro, that was scripted. That was pre-written.
That's crazy.
That was gonna happen. Like, nothing is by chance. Everything we are experiencing is like it was already there. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Literally, it fascinates me a lot, honestly.
When you think about this stuff, you just go crazy, man.
But there is a certain demographic of people, see, religious people, that I've actually really been thinking about these a lot, and they might have the answer. Okay, let me just speak about it. So, I really do think, like, in the spirituality sense, there is always something that's missing. Do you get me? We spoke about this before, how that thing missing is God. But when I actually think about it, like, in the beginning when it was just Adam and Eve, innit? Bro, them man they were in heaven at the same time, they were physical at the same time. It's like God is heaven, innit? So wherever God is, heaven is there, innit? But so Adam and Eve were together with God, but physically, innit? So that sense of physical, that spiritual, the spiritualness and the physicalness, they were at one. But then obviously the snake came through and mashed everything up, and we got kicked out. And that's when death was introduced, innit? Right. We were supposed to be living eternally, and now we have death on our shoulders, innit? And I feel like at that point, that's where spirituality with us human beings, that's where the disconnect came, innit? And where now spirituality became a bit confusing and all of this. And that's why I really think that in today's day, like spiritually is so confusing for a lot of people, and that's how it's supposed to be because the devil wants it that way, innit?
Right.
Do you get me? And that's why spirituality is such a big problem. And how when we think about spirituality, it's like, oh, I don't know, this, that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the physical versus the non-physical.
Yeah. Just like you were saying, like that physical, the spiritual and the physical needs to
Be
be one.
realistic, yeah.
But in that, like today, is that really the case with a lot of people?
To navigate that.
Do you get me?
To navigate that.
There's a fair amount of, I don't know. I think there's a fair amount of, I guess, eagerness you need to have, right? If you genuinely want to have a better understanding of who we are, our origins, etc., right? Because a lot of people, right, and this is like the side of spirituality that I don't really like, they will get their sources from, I don't know, TikTok. I'm not, obviously there's great stuff on there, but most people, they'll be looking and then they'll see one thing and they'll just latch onto that. For example, you see someone with a huge ass crystal on their neck and you ask them, oh, what's that? What does that do? I don't know. Like they don't know. They just wear these things and do these things because it looks cool and they want to have that title of spiritual, but they don't actually understand or know the reasoning behind the things they wear and the things they do, the things they say. And it's like, you're only going to reach a certain level doing that. And doing that is only going to put you in more confusion, I feel like.
More division. It's the concept versus the reality of it constantly. That's a common theme here. The concept of, because what we're referring to here is not just like, this is the foundation of our reality we're talking about. So there is no, dare I say, right or wrong answer or approach to, discovering or experiencing it. You just are always experiencing it, whether you recognize it or not. And it's the willingness to recognize it that differs individuals, I think, funny enough. And it's like, because I mean, it's unsettling as fuck. We know this. I mean, it's unsettling. I mean, literally, like to be able to take your mind to such a place, you've literally detached any belief that you've experienced. Any you can't because you realize that you don't know it. What did we say last time? Remember we said we don't know. Like no one knows. So
exactly.
That being the case, like I said before, all you can do is just surrender to it and just
follow the path within.
That's facts.
Precisely, and that's in the here and now. That's at every present moment, literally.
We dream, we ponder. You get me? We meditate, we think. There's so many the ways we dabble. Even cigarettes will get you into a point where it's like, well, it's a bit light. Definitely. There's so many so many ways you can get spiritual and that.
And this is what I mean as well, actually. And I was thinking about it, and I've not actually told anyone. I think that's why I think a lot of our generation, or a lot of like teenagers, the consumption of stuff like smart weed. You see that lightheaded sensation you get, or even stuff like smoking weed.
I have.
The reason why it's familiar, it's not because it's like a drug and I love getting high. No, what you're experiencing is
what you're accounting for.
It's like it's your highest self. When you are that lightheaded sensation, that peak where that's like almost that's when you're like in your highest essence, but you might not see it like that. You just see it as I'm getting a buzz. But that is what we as humans, that sensation is what we are constantly chasing for, actually. You know what I mean? It's just like the peakest of sensations we as humans can experience physically, at least.
That's crazy.
It's like filling up your spirit, man. It's like watering the spirit, man, or like out of body experiences and stuff like that.
And that there, it doesn't just apply to smart whip, weed, all of that. People seek to they get that feeling and they want to keep getting that hit. But you can get that in so many other places. You can get that in like sex. You can get that from religion. You can get that from so many other places. But and this is where I think I love Jesus, right? And this is where I think he comes in, because what did Jesus say? Jesus said that the kingdom it's not outside, it's within you, right? So these feelings that people are feeling, they think that they need this substance or whatever it is that they try to find it in, but they don't realize that it's within themselves, and that's why people feel so down afterwards because they feel like I've lost it, I've lost that I've lost this, whatever. Nah, it's within you. Even in Hinduism, they've got a state called samadhi, right? And it's basically meant to be a state of ecstasy, euphoria that you can get, that you can attain through meditation, through all these various different practices. And it's essentially that thing where they don't take any substance to achieve that. It comes from within you. All these feelings, this state of enlightenment, it's something that you can attain by yourself, but no one believes that. Everyone feels that they have to look for something else outside, externally. They think they have to get something externally, look up to something externally, and saying that this power, this source, whatever it is within you, it's not something it's not egotistical to say. It's just the fact that, look, we are the creations of God. We are the, you know.
A lot of people does it. It goes
images of God. People don't believe that.
Yeah, no, as in, who is watching through your vessel right now as you are speaking or listening to this? You are a spirit. You are an essence in a human body vessel experiencing reality. We are consciousness experiencing itself. We are God experiencing itself, essentially.
Exactly.
And once you understand that, life's your playground. Life's your
there you go.
You see, in saying this, you'll think, it's got a dark tone, but no, like, embrace it.
Yeah.
And it's like, we are, we've woken up another day. God has given us another day to live. If he's dictating this simulation, as we say, he's setting these coordinates out. He's not done with us. Live it up. Keep, fulfill whatever it is we innately feel to do, because that is what it is innately, our higher selves have essentially been set a task. I think our souls come here to essentially venture. We've been given a task that we need to fulfill. So every present moment you're experiencing isn't by chance. There's depth and meaning behind everything we do. Every present moment. It's crazy, man.
Crazy.
Amen.
We're here on a mission, man. We're here on a mission. We're here on a mission, for real. It's about having fun during the mission, of course.
Precisely.
Not too much fun.
Of course.
Regulation.
Be smart now. Be smart now, man.
So then I'm now thinking, cool, this depth now, this knowledge that we obviously love to delve into, how does this work, or how do we find our matches when engaging with the other gender? So when it comes to girls and stuff, what things are we put in place to, in a sense, find someone that matches our? Because you can argue that this frequency we operate at is very, I'm not gonna say higher or lower, but it's unique. Is unique. It's not something that is common. How does that look? What obstacles have you guys faced from your own experiences, even when interacting with maybe some low vibrational females, dare I say, respectfully, like not everyone's on this, so how do you go about it?
Do you know what it is? I honestly believe that's in your words. Like your words, like create algebra, maths, all of that. You get me? Yeah. So your words not only create those things, but it creates you. Through your words, you can identify who you really are in it. Through your words are the words that you stand on for your character and for who you are. Like I say, I'm calisthenics. Can't just say I'm in calisthenics if I don't do calisthenics. Do you get me? And all these things, like there's just a way we hold ourselves, a way we carry ourselves through what we say and what we think of and believe of ourselves, innit? So yeah, for me, I really had to take a step back from the other other side, innit? Because those who know me, I'm a lover boy, man.
You love deep, is it? Yeah.
I love deep, bro. But there's just something about women, bro. Like they're absolutely beautiful creatures. But at the same time, look how many wars have started because of women. Do you get me? Look how many nations have fallen. How many bodies have been caught because of a woman, bro. And there's something spiritual in it, bro.
I hear that.
There's something spiritual in it. There's a way that a man and woman come together that is just absolutely beautiful, fam. And for me, I've personally learned not to take that for granted, innit? Obviously, like I've stayed a bit celibate for a little while. I've done, and even I used to be not just a lover boy, but like just take the mick out of women, innit? So now I cherish them like they're gold. But at the same time, the ones that don't see their value in themselves, it's kind of hard to cling on to those ones, innit? Has to be perfect all around, innit?
Yeah.
And they have to, like there has to be some kind of vibration going on where they have. Every girl is trying to be them like another girl. Do you get me? But with men, I'm not trying to be like Daniel. Do you get me?
It's true. It's true. I think that's the thing. A lot of women don't realize femininity is divine. Like, is that on a universal intellectual level? It is divine. They even again, I've read that our relationship with ourselves, like we've said before, our relationship with ourselves to our changing self, is actually relative to the relationship with femininity as a whole. Literally, our relationship with ourselves and the universe is feminine. You know, that's what I've seen, and it's like when I heard that perspective, I was questioning it, but I said this does make sense.
Because it gives birth.
Right? As a man, you breathe a breath of fresh air into a woman and watch what happens to that woman. They blossom and they become, you know, they become. It's an amazing story at the end of the day. So I see a lot of validity in that. Definitely.
Yeah, most definitely.
That was deep.
Yeah.
Not only that, but there's so much spirituality in sex.
Yeah.
Like,
it's slept on, isn't it?
It's slept on, man. And it's so heavy. So heavy. Like, through the spirituality in sex, like, life is created. If you're not careful. Do you get me? And I just feel like a lot of people, like, I feel like that in general has a part to play in the destruction of the world, fam. Like, the world has been suffering tremendously. Like, when I say the world, I mean people in the world, innit? People have been suffering a lot. And the next generations and the next generations are going to suffer a lot due to this uncontrolled lust or this idea of love. Love is the world. Love is inevitable as well. Love is part of spiritual.
It's a state. Yeah. What does that? Because you know, obviously I get what you mean. We probably get what you mean. What does like that suffer? Because people might be thinking, oh, World War III, or there's like bombs being thrown. Like, what does that suffer? How does that manifest? What's a day-to-day example of that suffer?
Like,
if anyone could even.
I mean, I hate to be the bringer of bad news, but it's relationships, isn't it? Like, a lot of people get into relationships, have a youth, and then the youth is raised without a proper family involved. Even youths that are raised with families, like if the mum and dad are together when they're not supposed to be together and they're raising kids, it can cause trouble. It can cause problems. You get me? So also, fam, it's about how you're raised and the integrity of your parents and what the kind of character they have. What kind of words are they spewing out? Because if you hear the words of your parents that are kind of mad and they're crazy, you're gonna suffer from it.
I think most adults aren't even fully developed and they're starting families, and that's wild because you're just creating you're just creating a chain of just brokenness. Like there's and then that obviously does stem into society. That does obviously. Yeah, definitely spillover effect is peak. I can imagine.
It's peak,
and that's where you hear this reoccurring word of childhood trauma, things like that. That stuff is real.
Everyone has it nowadays.
It's real, yeah. But obviously, stuff that from our parents, our parents have done and said to their parents, to our parents, that have made them a certain way, and now they're doing whatever the cause of that. They're doing that now to us, but. This is the beautiful thing about awareness. The more you become aware, the more now you can do something. Because obviously everyone is responsible for their own actions, right? So this is something I was thinking about, I think, a couple of days ago, right? For someone, I don't know, if someone acting in a certain way, cool. You are to blame for your actions, but at the same time, I don't blame you if you're not aware. You're still to blame, but if you don't know what you're doing, you know, I understand. I don't blame you. Yeah. But now that we're aware, it's like now I'm sure you guys will realize you become a lot more aware of your actions. You're doing something. You do something or you say something, and you're like, why did I do that? Introspection is deep. Exactly. So it's like, thankfully, we have this awareness which not everyone has. So now you have to do something with it. Now it's time to, like what they would say, end generational curses, things like that. And that's not like something crazy. Like I said,
like,
the spiritual things, when you start to understand them, it's maths and science.
Maths.
Now it's like, okay,
1 + 1.
this generational curse, cool. Maybe your mum spoke to your dad like he was a bum, right? So now you're starting to have those characteristics of being a bum. You see your dad don't go to work or whatever. Now you want to be lazy. Now you notice you get a job and now you after a couple of weeks you can't keep it. And it's like, why am I doing this? Now it's about questioning yourself and doing things out of character to whatever character you're imbuing right now to come out of that. And that's how we can break generational curses, man.
Even the state of the world now, I personally believe that the parent of human beings is God. And we are his children. But then we have been calling other, say, gods, our father, rather than the actual creator of the universe. And I feel like that's where we've been kind of distilled.
Yeah, definitely. Distilled, definitely.
Yeah, spiritual is deep, man.
Yeah, man. Another thing about like women, right? Like Jesse was saying, women are beautiful. Women are like all praises to our women,
amazing.
for real.
We love you.
And the beautiful thing about this is that we I'm assuming obviously we spend most of our time in the UK. This is where we've all grown up. There's so many other countries in the world to travel. We've not seen the majority of the women out here. You know what I'm saying?
Don't limit yourself.
Don't limit yourself. There's so many women to see, so many different flavors. So I'm not in no rush, you know. I like to call myself, I'm a traveling man. That's what I want to do, you know. I want to go around, I want to explore.
Definitely.
Ain't it crazy why there's so many women in the world, but there's only just one? A lot of people would say that it's supposed to obviously we're a polygamy or whatever. But I don't resonate with that. I mean, maybe when I was younger.
Supposedly deep rooted biologically, we are.
We are monogamous now.
We're not monogamous.
Yeah.
Apparently, supposedly we're not. I can understand why.
I feel like being polygamous. How did you say the word?
Polygamous. Yeah, polygamous.
I feel like being polygamous. Yeah, I feel like it just brings problems because women, when they're not happy, and it brings problems in it. And really and truly, like to be able to deal with a woman's problems, you need to focus, sit down, and listen to her.
But the woman's the one that's surfaced the problem. So obviously, you know what they say, men's society's dying out, it's a female society, rare. If we contextualize it, there's no wonder why our biologically deep-rooted way of being isn't tolerated in this society because hey, whose society is it becoming? Theirs.
So I'm just saying.
Yeah. I'm playing devil's advocate, innit?
If a woman wants to come and take society from me, she should come and take it. If you want to go to war, let's go to war. Promise you can't take nothing from me.
Yeah.
But anyways.
But at the same time, most people are probably not going to be polygamous, right? But it's cool. I think the main thing is don't do what other people say is right for you. If this is supposed to be the accepted thing, don't do it just because people say that. This is also why, you know, I do want to travel around a lot because I want to discover what is right for me. I can't do what I'm told. You know, I have to experience it for myself, and whether that means I get burnt or, you know, I make some mistakes, that's cool because at least and this is like, it reminds me of when you were talking about, you know, like spiritual leaders as well, kind of creating this blueprint for people. It is a very personal experience, and you do have to be bold enough to step out on your own. Definitely. Do make mistakes. Like, you can't be afraid to make mistakes in any endeavor in life.
Every man has to be a leader, man. We have to lead these women, polygamous or not. We have to lead them, bro.
For some man, a polygamous relationship might be optimal. For other guys, it might not be. But just do what you're called to do.
Literally.
Get me?
I hear that. I think a lot of I think about just in this day and age in general, because this is my perspective on just that as a whole. I think as a man to commit and submit yourself to one woman, I'm big on just given they deserve the best version of you, right? Fair to say, because as a man we are very heavily influential. Any effect, the effect that we have on a woman's life is significant. We sleep on that. So then, will you not argue then the more the more of an individual you are, the more you work on yourself to like almost harness your masculinity, ends up working out for the best for them.
Most definitely.
I feel like a woman brings out more masculinity from a man than you'll actually think. Like by yourself, like cool, you'll be optimal. Like you will think, okay, how can I survive? There's not necessarily won't do things that are fully masculine all the time. But with a woman in the picture, like you have that aspect of her thinking that you're not a man. I don't know if I'm speaking for myself.
I get what you're saying.
But there's certain you're gonna have to prove yourself sometimes. If somebody smacks her bum, you get me? You're gonna have to mash my man up. Do you get me?
Yeah.
And even with the way you speak to her, if she clocks that you're not very masculine, she can sense that stuff. Do you get me? And
vibrational creatures.
Most definitely.
do you get me? And they think about things that we don't think about. And so I just feel like a woman will bring out that.
I agree.
Yeah.
They are social beings. They're more. Whilst we are like the logical ones, they're like more emotive and just socially aware than us. So I can understand the benefits that they can have on a man.
And that's a different kind of spirituality when you think about when we're thinking about that side and they're thinking about that side. Like they're thinking about this guy hasn't eaten yet, or they're thinking about this place ain't clean. That's a big thing. There's aromas and there's smells that they'll smell, you won't smell. That spot is dirty. It's a spiritual thing.
Wow.
I hear that.
Have you heard the saying that cleanliness is close to godliness?
Yeah.
I've not even heard that. No, that's
Really?
wild. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Cleanliness is close to godliness. So
I hear that.
just being clean, innit? But they're just naturally clean. If a woman is not clean,
it's quite questionable.
it's questionable, mad questionable.
Yeah.
But if a man is not clean, it's just being him, innit? It's just being a man.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Two different sides. There's two different aspects to it, man.
Yeah. It's true. Women know that as well. My mum and my sisters, I remember my mum used to get on, like, when I started growing armpit hair, she knew it. And she would tell me, quite off. My dad would try to tell me quite off. But with my sisters, she got the lemon out. You might know the lemon.
Yeah.
She got the lemon out. I said, use this every day before you shower. Like, and that's how I was like, there is a huge emphasis on, like, there's loads of emphasis on women and cleanliness in general. From young, it's pushed on them from young, to be honest. That's funny,
because women are the people that prepare our food as well. Like just speaking in like just old school kind of perspective, innit? Like they prepare the food, so what we eat is like, and they think about it more. Because I heard something about how veg and all these fruits and stuff, they actually cleanse the body to make it smell better and stuff. Even them preparing the meats and all of that stuff, they're good at. Obviously, men cook as well, but. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I get that. It's almost like it's God sent. It's God sent. You can argue. Yeah, we're not talking about surface level or what does a woman bring to the table. You know what? That question annoys me. What as a woman, what do you bring to the table? Because you know how we were talking about how vital and how like significant women, the divine femininity is. For a man to say what do you bring to the table, you're asking them to nitpick and divide what's wholesome and already complete.
Exactly.
Well, for women that recognise that and know that, that's what I find annoying in this day and age. When they ask that.
Sorry, I think they're definitely pointing at them type of women that are always trying to compete with the man.
Yes.
I think that's where they're aiming that at.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just women like, as a whole. Man.
I personally think that men are the table.
Okay.
That's just me, the way I see it, because the way I see it is women, they gatekeep sex. If a woman says you're not allowed to sleep with me, you're not sleeping with her. Simple as. But with a man, a woman can't just be like, we're in a relationship now. Yeah. Men gatekeep relationships. Do you get me? So in that perspective, like, sorry, I just forgot what you said again, but it was based on what you said. But in that perspective, like, just get me, like.
That's interesting. I hear that,
man.
It's yeah. But yeah, it's. What did you say again before that?
You said
it's more about women competing.
Oh, sorry, I said
yeah.
men are the table. We are the table, innit? Yeah. So we are the table in that aspect because, like, obviously we gatekeep the relationship, and a woman, like, they can live by themselves and stuff, but we should be the people that hold the household. We're the head of the household, kind of make the decisions. The kids will, do you get me, listen to us more than the woman and stuff. That's controversial, but I think it's true. Do you get me? It's just, we're like the glue of the household.
So so in our current states, thinking like, what can a woman bring to the table? Now you don't have to give exactly, but
it's presence, bro.
But just presence, you think?
Bro, I honestly believe, like, if a woman is willing to stay with you and accept you for who you are, so much can grow out of that. She'll want to make you happy, or you'll want to make her happy. Do you get me? And from that, like, she'll be like, okay, I need to wash the dish. I need to clean my man's clothes. Or I need to do what he's going gym. I need to make sure this is ready. Or he's coming back home. I need to make sure he's eating. And same with you. You're like, oh, this woman will never sleep outside. This woman will never be harmed. This woman will never go a day without money. Do you get me? All these things, those are the kind of, do you get me? That's why I honestly believe that men are the table, because when you see it that way, we're not supposed to give responsibilities to a woman, apart from raising our kids. Do you get me? And kind of just being there for you, fam. Have you ever had them female friends, bro, that they're just always about? Like, you shout them, they'll pull up, and you just have that presence, and not necessarily you want to be with her, but some wholesome energy. I get what you mean.
Energy.
You get me?
Definitely.
Because ultimately, as guys, we're not, or at least for the most part, most definitely, we're not 100% masculine men, because of course there's both sides, there's masculine and feminine, right? And
the spectrum it operates on.
Definitely. Exactly. And there's certain things that are masculine, certain things that are feminine, and of course having like a strong masculine male and a strong feminine woman together is gonna like skyrocket both of you together. And I think that is for men and women, I think that's what they should both be seeking, to continue on their purpose to, I guess, reach a high level of understanding, strengthen their masculinity and femininity together.
That establishes,
power force.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It establishes a foundation, a mutual foundation that both parties can operate on. And that contributes to the, I think the topic of this conversation, just oneness as a whole, right? I think masculine and femininity, that, eradicate all gender wars. Masculine and femininity, yin and yang. If we start, that yin and yang time, when it starts to turn, what happens? It becomes one. It becomes wholesome. That is essentially God's message.
Whether we like it or not, us men here, we can't live without a woman, fam. At some point or not, we're gonna have to find a girl, fam. Even if we're gonna have to find multiple women or just that one woman, we need women, fam. You need it. It's inevitable. And some women can go about, we don't need men. We don't need men. I didn't day, bro.
You're lying to yourself.
You get me? We need them. Some people say we can live without them, but we can't live without them.
Well, no, we can survive without them, bro. Let's be honest.
Most definitely, we can.
We can survive without them.
But we can't at the same time.
It would be nice. You know what I'm saying? It would be nice.
It would be
Oh my gosh.
But I think at the same time, you're going to be given what you can manage. So you want a top tier woman, get in the gym, make sure you're eating right.
Yeah.
Make sure you can provide for yourself and for your family, for other people.
Word.
Make sure you're the best version of yourself.
Word.
Exactly, man.
Can't be lazy.
Can't be lazy.
If you're lazy, then you don't deserve a girl.
Exactly. Honestly,
Let you know, do you deserve a man? Vice versa, like
You don't deserve a friendship, bro.
Yeah.
Because even friendships are spiritual as well, fam. In my opinion, like, do you get me?
It's in the name. Shit. No, I'm not even gonna get into that one. I'm not even gonna get into that one. I'll be honest.
But he's dropping gems.
I know you, man. I know you, man. Get it, man.
I hear it still. It's facts.
I had this realization, right? After, it was just a long day, right? I had this thought. I realized that I think I called you around this time as well, right? I was like, wow. And this is just a statement. It's not good or bad. It's not right or wrong. It just is, right? I realized there's 3 ways at least that I can think of. Maybe there's more that women take from me, right? They'll take like in modern day terms, right? They'll take your time. They can take your money. They can take your energy.
Energy is the biggest one.
Yeah, all of them is you're giving something away.
Yeah.
So make sure that woman is proper.
Yeah.
Because they make something with it. Because like you said, the earth is like a woman. I remember we was talking about like the earth is like a woman. That's you should see it like as men, we're gonna constantly give.
Farming, innit? Because we think about testosterone, it produces naturally in us.
Yeah.
So we are harvesting what they can farm.
Do you get me?
Wow.
Essentially.
It's like planting seeds.
Yeah. Oh, I got goosebumps. Man. Shit, man. Shit, nigga. Yeah. Nah, real shit though. Yeah.
And it's the same.
Yeah,
And bro,
yeah.
they'll be pregnant.
Uh-huh.
They'll keep that stuff for however long, and they'll give birth to a bouncing baby boy or girl. And that's just like our efforts in putting effort into business, putting efforts into gym, putting efforts into whatever we're doing. That's just and women. That's why I feel like their life is so much more easier. They just take. Bro.
I hear that.
I love it.
Women
though. I
have
mean,
their own struggles. Like.
of course, they have their own struggles, bro. But at the same time, like if men, I feel like obviously men, patriarchy, whatever you want to call it. At the same time, we are cool. We are running things, innit? However you want to see it, it's men that are running most of the things. So, bro, it's just an easier life for them, fam. They should not. Of course, men have ruined it. Whatever circumstance we're at today is because of men, innit? But cool. At the end of the day, fam, women, bro, you're living a chilled life.
It's a conversation that can be had.
Obviously,
It's
women.
subjective. Yeah.
It's subjective.
Yeah.
It's objective.
That's
But
the thing. I think it comes from seeing things as again not good or bad. Like cool men like running the world and stuff like that. Don't see it as a bad thing or an amazing thing. It just is. It's just the law. It's just the laws of nature.
it's conflict. Like, see two goats, bro. When they see each other, they're gonna be bashing each other's head, fam.
Exactly.
That's just how I see it. It's not necessarily a good thing. They're both gonna get dementia after. Do you get me?
Yeah,
But that's just what men do, innit? That's the
Yeah.
world that we're in, innit? That's just how I see it, really.
You don't see feminist tigers and lionesses and that. You know what I'm saying? Like, cool. They still got the male, the lion. That's the leader of the pack. They do their job, and then the lionesses do their own job, and they're badasses. Like it's the lionesses that do most of the hunting, right? But that doesn't. They don't come back and say, "Oh, lion, you're so lazy" and stuff like that. They're doing their own thing. They all have their own roles, their own positions to play. You know, we need to understand that's just the nature of life. Stop complaining and trying to take other people's spots. Just do your own thing. Just enjoy where you are. Just be.
Remember, guys, we're human beings, not human doings. On that note, boys, we're gonna wrap it there, man. We're gonna
Human
wrap it there.
beings.
Nah, just straight with human beings, man. Come on.
We're not doings, cuz. And don't get done, fam.
Oh, I could actually sit here and talk for time, but
Trust me.
time is limited. So before we shoot off, is there anything you guys would like to plug before we run off then?
I'll just do my intro again since I messed up earlier. But yeah, you can follow me, Matt Muscle6 on Instagram, YouTube, Mr. V Taper, and that's that.
Yeah, Daniel Iron _ on Instagram. Make sure you're following me. Got a lot of fun things planned for this summer.
Come on. And obviously mine is P Jesufemi O. That's all one word. Hopefully you can come here or something. Do some energy. But yeah, obviously I'm gonna start putting out more content about, you know, my mind and what I ponder over, because I feel like I do have a lot to say. But till we get there, innit, hopefully you guys will find out, innit. So,
guys, this was just a taste, man. This was just a taste. Literally, we're just testing the waters. This is the first time I've spoken to these individuals. I've spoken to these guys individually, but not once. And I envisioned this conversation would go this way anyway. So I'm keen on this, and I hope it does develop and branch into something much greater.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Due time then, guys. Yeah.
Come on,
Beautiful
dude.
guys.
So yes, guys, it's
Yeah,
been
man.
your boy C to the PT
been great.
here. Wilson and Clive. You've reached the end. Take care. Catch you all lot around.
Peace.
My guys.
Man, good work, man.
Come on, man. Good work, bro.
My guys, man.